family. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today, y'all, I want to talk about it's wedding season, right? And I want to talk to you all a little bit about that. So if that's something you think you want to listen to or hear about, stick around. Um, what I want to dive into briefly is the wedding season, right? We all get caught up in the dream. And that's what I'm going to title this video. I want to title this video, Marry the Person and Not the Dream. And let me explain what I mean by that. Y'all, marriage, we all know it's a very, very serious step, right? Most of us take it seriously, and we should. I mean, it's a major event that happens in our lives, and hopefully only once, right? But what I want to talk to you about, and I think I'm somewhat of it, I don't want to say it expert, but I know what I'm talking about because I've been doing this for a while. I've been married 30 plus years. So I've been married a very long time, right? And I'll be honest with you, when I first got married, of course, I was very, very young. I was a child bride. I was very, very young, and I had no clue. I didn't know what to expect. I had no clue. And, I kind of learned as I went along. But what I can tell you is from my experience, it's hard. It's really, really hard. Probably one of the hardest things that you will ever encounter in your life. And it's work, okay? It's a lot of work, and it's not for the weak at heart. I would tell you that. And there's a reason why, I think the divorce rate is it's up there, y'all. I think it's like 50, 60%, for marriages nowadays. It's not easy. And when I say marry the person and not the dream, we all tend to get caught up, especially ladies, especially us. We tend to get caught up in the fairy tale, right? The dresses and the experience and the flowers and the guest list and all that. We get caught up in the wedding and the wedding planning, and that's fine, but don't forget the person. Make sure you marry the right person, right? And a lot of us, we really, when I said, I didn't know what I was getting into, and a lot of us don't know what we're getting into. You can know a person for years, but then not really know them, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, please get to know the person as much as you can before you marry them. Now, I know a lot of people, are religious, and it's against their culture and their religion, to live together before you're married. So I'm not condoning that one way or the other. But if you can, I would say give it a shot, because you really don't know somebody until you live with them, right? You can date for 4 years. Like I said, I was a child. I was very, very young when I married, and I think it was like a courtship of 4 years. And even you can have a courtship of 4 years, you can have one of 10 years, and you still not really get to know that person. So, my husband's over there listening. So, with all that being said, is your expectations and the reality of how things really are may not always match up. So he's over there making fun. So we have to be realistic, when it comes to our expectations, okay? And what I mean by that is we have to live in reality, get to know the person. And guys, I know guys, I don't want to say they marry, but they date and they see the physical, right? Let me tell you, when we're in our 20s or 30s or however old you are when you get married, we're not going to look like that. Depending on how long you're married, we're not going to look like that, let's say 4 or 5, maybe even 10 years from now, if you make it that long, right? Especially, as ladies, when we have kids, right? You have to give us grace, because when we have kids, I know myself, I blew up, right? I didn't look the same after having a child that I did before I had a child. So guys, we kind of have to look beyond the physical and look beyond the looks, okay? And when you have to give your partner grace when it comes to the childbearing years, okay? Within reason. Now, just because you married her or him, let's say with the gentleman, let's say you married a lady, she was 110, 120 pounds when you married her, okay? 10 years after having a couple of kids later, she's up to, I don't know, 200 pounds. That's okay. You have to be okay with that. You have to give her grace, okay? And the same thing with the ladies, with the guys. You know, guys, they get the dad bod. I mean, things happen, life happens, right? You know, guys, you get in your 30s or whatever, and you know, we get the stuff out. You know, we get the dad bod, we get the beer belly, they call it. You know, whatever, what have you. So, ladies, we don't get so much caught up on that because we don't care what the guy looks like, as long as he treats us well and you know takes care of us. Whereas the guys, they get caught up on the looks, and I think that's where a lot of issues and our expectations start to not be reality or realistic. So I'm going to just leave it at that. But you guys know what I mean, you know, when we have to keep our expectations and realities in check. Okay. And so, you know, you got the physical part of it, right? And then you know, you have the social part of it and the financial, what I get into in a little bit. But the social aspect, you've got to know your person. Like, are you both on the same page when it comes to socializing? Or one of you, you know, do one of you, or are you a homebody and like to be in the house? Or are you outgoing? You got to be out and you got to be in the, you know, the center of attention. You got to be at this party, that club, that, you know, you got to know each other. So if you're total opposites when it comes to the social thing, y'all, that's not going to work. Or if it does work, you're going to be button heads and you're going to have a hard time. So somebody's going to have to give in a situation like that. And then the last thing I want to touch on is the financial. Okay, are you a saver? Is he a spender? You know, you guys got to come together when it comes to that. We can't have one person spending all the money and the other person trying to save it. You're going to butt heads, you're going to argue. So to save yourself, you know, from that headache, you got to get to know one another. And I'm not saying a spender and a saver can't get together, but you're going to have to come up with a plan and find out a way, you know, to work on it. And the same thing goes for having kids. Do you want to have kids? Does your spouse want to have kids? That needs to be discussed, y'all, before you say I do, or before, you know, he gets down on one knee. You guys got to be on the same page with that, because a lot of the younger kids, they don't want kids. You know, the younger folks coming up, they don't want kids. And then you have some that do and some that don't. So if you're not on the same page with that, I mean, that can be a problem. So these are just some of the things. I mean, there's a whole bunch, and I don't want to make this into, you know, half an hour, hour-long video. But those are just some of the things that you all need to think about, you know, before you get down on the one knee, you know, you pop the question or whatever, you say I do when you start the planning, you know, with the party and the dresses and the flowers and all this. You need to think about these things too, before you even get to that point, okay? So that's all I want to talk about, y'all. That's all I had to say, you know, on this subject. Drop me a comment, you know, let me know what you think. And if you like this type of content, please give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.